All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I am Naresh Mago and with me is VC Pramod. The headlines. President Ramnath Kovind to confer Nari Shapti Puraskar for the years 2020 and 2021 on International Women's Day today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to address seminar at Women's Saints Camp at Dhordo in Kutch this evening. Prime Minister to address post-budget webinar on financing for growth and aspirational economy today. Polling for assembly elections in Uttar Pradesh concludes successfully. Exit polls predict BJP's return to power in the state. Repolling underway at 7 polling stations of 5 assembly constituencies in Manipur. India raises concerns at UN Security Council over humanitarian crisis in Ukraine, demands safe and uninterrupted passage for all civilians. 2 special flights to bring back more than 400 Indians from Sochiawa today. And in Women's Cricket World Cup, match between Australia and Pakistan underway at Bay Oval in Mount Maunganui. As we start the bulletin, we appeal to our listeners to stay safe from COVID-19 by following these 4 simple steps. Get fully vaccinated, wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, and focus on hand and face hygiene. As our nation celebrates the 75th year of independence, a series of events is being organized by the government as a part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. To commemorate the occasion as a Jan Utsav, All India Radio News brings its listeners a special quiz on India's freedom movement and its glorious history. The quiz is being conducted every Monday and Tuesday in Morning News since 16th August last year and will continue till 15th August this year. India Post has joined hands as the logistics partner with All India Radio News for the Amrit Mahotsav quiz. Recalling our yesterday's question, name the freedom fighter who founded Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, an educational trust in 1938. He was also elected to the Bombay Legislative Assembly but resigned after Bardoli Satyagraha. The correct answer is Kanhaiya Lal Maniklal Munshi. Under the influence of Shri Aurobindo, he leaned towards revolutionary group. But after settling in Mumbai, he joined Indian Home Rule movement and became its secretary in 1915. Munshi was elected in the 1937 Bombay presidency election, and as Home Minister, he suppressed the communal riots in Bombay. Munshi was arrested by the British after he took part in individual satyagraha in 1940. AIR News got an overwhelming response from its listeners across the world, and the one lucky winner of the quiz is Ishwarya MR from Koduvela in Kollam, Kerala.
I am Aishwarya MR from Kollam, Kerala. I have been listening AIR since my childhood. Amrit Mahotsav AIR gives an opportunity to cherish the national freedom movement. As national broadcaster, AIR gives unbiased news around the world. I am happy being a winner. Thank you.
And coming to our 60th question of the Amrit Mahotsav quiz in English. Name the first woman satyagrahi to court arrest in Nagpur and to be jailed twice for her involvement in protests against British rule in 1923 and 1942. Also a famous poet, her poem immortalized Rani Lakshmibai. I repeat, name the first woman satyagrahi to court arrest in Nagpur and to be jailed twice for her involvement in protests against the British rule in 1923 and 1942. Also a famous poet, her poem immortalized Rani Lakshmibai. Listeners can send their responses to the question over WhatsApp on 88265 46262. I repeat the number 88265 46262 or through email on amritmahotsavquiz@prasarbharati.gov.in. International Women's Day is being celebrated today. The day is observed every year to celebrate the social, economic, cultural and political achievements of women. The day also marks a call to action for accelerating women's equality. The theme for this year is #BreakTheBias. As part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, week-long celebrations of International Women's Day started on 1st March in New Delhi. The week-long events will culminate with the conferment of Nari Shapti Puraskar for the years 2020 and 2021 by President Ramnath Kovind at Rashtrapati Bhavan today. The award ceremony for the year 2020 could not be held in 2021 due to the COVID situation. Here is the report.
Nari Shakti Puraskar is an initiative of the Ministry of Women and Child Development to acknowledge the exceptional contribution made by individuals and institutions to celebrate women as game changers and catalyst of positive change in the society. In all, 28 awards will be presented to 29 individuals today. The winners for the year 2020 are from fields as diverse as entrepreneurship, agriculture, innovation, social work, art and crafts, STEMM and wildlife conservation. They include social entrepreneur from Bihar, Anita Gupta, organic farmer and tribal activists from Gujarat, Ushaben Basaba, innovator in environmental conservation from Jammu and Kashmir, Nasira Akhtar, and artisans in Toda embroidery from Tamil Nadu, Jaya Muttu and Tejamma. The winners of the Nari Shakti Puraskar for the year 2021 are from the fields of linguistics, entrepreneurship, agriculture, social work, arts and crafts, and education and literature. They include farmer and entrepreneur from Haryana, Pooja Sharma, disability rights activist from Odisha, Shruti Mahapatra, captain in Merchant Navy, Radhika Menon from Kerala, and social entrepreneur from Maharashtra, Kamal Kumbhar. Anupam Mishra, AR News, Delhi.
President Ramnath Kovind has greeted the citizens on International Women's Day. In a tweet, Mr. Kovind said, "Women are making exemplary contributions in all walks of life." He called upon everyone to recommit themselves to ensure their safety and dignity and to provide opportunities to each of them to pursue their dreams and aspirations.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address a seminar on International Women's Day at Women Saints Camp at Dhordo in Kutch at 6 p.m. this evening through video conferencing. The seminar is being organized to recognize the role of women saints in the society and their contribution towards women empowerment. Over 500 women saints will attend the seminar in Dhordo. The seminar will include sessions on culture, religion, female upliftment, security, social status and role of women in Indian culture. The welfare schemes of central and state governments benefiting women along with achievements of women will also be discussed. The seminar will also witness participation of Union Minister Smriti Zubin Irani. On the occasion of International Women's Day, Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Singh Thakur will participate in Mahila Suraksha Kavach program in Hamirpur district of Himachal Pradesh today. The Union Minister will also attend various programs being organized in Hamirpur district to celebrate the day.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacted with the winners of Nari Shakti Puraskar Awards in New Delhi yesterday. He praised the awardees for the tremendous work done by them. He said they are contributing to the society and the country, and innovation is clearly visible in their work. The Prime Minister said, "There is no sector where women have not made their mark and made the country proud." Mr. Modi said, "The government is committed to working towards realizing the potential of women and is framing policies with that objective." The Prime Minister noted that it is important to ensure that all women become part of decision-making at the family level. During the interaction, first woman captain in Indian Merchant Navy, Captain Radhika Menon, said that when she goes to any country, people tell her that India has a strong leader and it makes her feel proud. Later, talking to media, Nari Shakti Puraskar winners praised Prime Minister Narendra Modi for his leadership and his initiatives for women.
I am a merchant navy captain for past 30 years and I have traveled around the globe, and wherever I have gone, even to the nations which we do not have a positive vibe like China, Pakistan, the people there always tell me that you have a strong leader. That makes me proud of our PM.
जो भी कदम प्रधानमंत्री साहब ने उठाए, वो जो भी स्लोगन थे, वो सही साबित हो रहे हैं.
Oh, it was a great feeling. He expressed his thoughts. The one thing which he told me and it really touched me is that about wasting of food, which I feel is very, very important.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address the post-budget webinar on financing for growth and aspirational economy today. The webinar involves participation from 16 ministries, Niti Aayog, Capacity Building Commission and state governments. The webinar will have 5 breakaway sessions on themes including financing of infrastructure, financing sectors with high employment potential, and creating enablers of infrastructure. Through the webinar, the Finance Ministry seeks to get valuable inputs on ways to accelerate the pace and achieve the agenda of the themes. The government is holding a series of webinars across various key sectors to facilitate efficient and speedy implementation of budget announcements. The objective is to brainstorm with experts from the public and private sectors, academia and industry, and identify strategies on how best to move forward towards implementation of various issues under different sectors.
In Uttar Pradesh, over 57% voter turnout was recorded for the 7th and final phase of assembly elections yesterday. Barring few sporadic incidents, voting was peaceful in the 7th phase. 54 constituencies spread over 9 districts went to the poll yesterday. Districts are Mao, Ghazipur, Jaunpur, Varanasi, Azamgarh, Badohi, Chandoli, Mirzapur and Sonbhadra. Highest voter turnout of around 62% was registered in Chandoli district, while the lowest 55% was recorded in Azamgarh. In case of assembly by-election for the Majuli seat in Assam, polling went on till 5 p.m. An average voter turnout of over 68% was recorded in the by-poll. Many exit polls have predicted BJP's return to power in Uttar Pradesh. The exit polls telecast by private TV channels last evening are predicting that BJP will win more than 200 seats. In Punjab, exit polls have given a clear majority to Aam Aadmi Party. The exit polls have given 51 to 100 seats to AAP, while Congress is expected to win between 10 to 28 seats. Akali Dal 6 to 26 seats and BJP 5 to 13 seats. However, some exit polls have given the lead to Congress. In Uttarakhand, the exit polls have predicted a close fight between ruling BJP and Congress. They have given BJP a minimum of 26 to a maximum of 43 seats, while Congress 24 to 38 seats. However, some surveys have given majority to Congress. In Goa, the surveys have shown a fractured mandate. Most of the exit polls have predicted BJP's return in Manipur.
In Manipur, repolling at 7 polling stations of 5 assembly constituencies is underway. Polling began at 7 a.m. and will continue till 4 p.m. The Election Commission has decided to conduct repolling as there were incidents of damaging EVMs at these polling stations by miscreants during the second phase of polling on 5th March. The 5 assembly constituencies are Wangching, Tenta, Ukhrul, Chingai, Karong and Tadubi. The Election Commission has announced polls to 13 Rajya Sabha seats in 6 states on 31st March. The states are Assam, Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, Kerala, Tripura and Nagaland. The notification in this regard will be issued on the 14th of this month. The Commission said out of the 5 seats to be filled from Punjab, 3 are to be filled by holding one election and the other 2 through another election, as these seats belong to 2 different biennial cycles.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. President Ramnath Kovind to confer Nari Shapti Puraskar for the years 2020 and 2021 on International Women's Day today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to address a seminar at Women Saints Camp at Dordo in Kutch this evening. Prime Minister to address post-budget webinar on financing for growth and aspirational economy today. Polling for assembly elections in Uttar Pradesh concludes successfully. Exit polls predict BJP's return to power in the state. Repolling underway at 7 polling stations of 5 assembly constituencies in Manipur. India raises concerns at UN Security Council over humanitarian crisis in Ukraine. Demands safe and uninterrupted passage for all civilians. 2 special flights to bring back more than 400 Indians from Suchiva today. And in Women's Cricket World Cup, match between Australia and Pakistan underway at the Bay Oval in Mount Mangunai. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
जनादेश 2022
5 राज्यों के विधानसभा चुनाव नतीजों की विशेष कवरेज आकाशवाणी के साथ।
रविवार 10 मार्च 2022 को विशेष कार्यक्रम। ताज़ा रुझान और परिणाम जानने के लिए जुड़े रहिए हमारे साथ सुबह 8 बजे से।
चुनाव नतीजों पर हिंदी और अंग्रेजी में विशेष चर्चा और विश्लेषण शाम 7:20 7:20 से रात 8 बजे तक।
चुनावी राज्यों पर विशेष रेडियो ब्रिज कार्यक्रम रात 9:15 बजे से रात 10 बजे तक।
आकाशवाणी के FM गोल्ड, राजधानी चैनल और राष्ट्रीय नेटवर्क पर भी विशेष कार्यक्रम।
India has said that the worsening situation in Ukraine and the ensuing humanitarian crisis deserves our immediate and urgent attention. In the meeting called by the UN Security Council to discuss the humanitarian crisis in Ukraine, India said an estimated 1.5 million refugees have sought shelter in the neighboring countries of Ukraine over the last 11 days. India's permanent representative to the United Nations, T.S. Tirumurti, said at a council meeting to discuss the humanitarian crisis on Monday that this has led to a pressing humanitarian crisis that needs to be addressed expeditiously.
India has been consistent in calling for an immediate end to all hostilities. Our Prime Minister once again spoke to the leadership of both sides and reiterated our call for immediate ceasefire and the need for both parties to return to the path of dialogue and diplomacy. We have also reiterated our urgent demand for safe and uninterrupted passage for all innocent civilians, including Indian nationals remaining in Ukraine.
A total of 1,314 Indians were airlifted yesterday by 7 special civilian flights from Ukraine's neighboring countries under Operation Ganga. The Civil Aviation Ministry said that with this, more than 17,400 Indians have been brought back since the special flights began on the 22nd of February. The number of Indians airlifted by 73 special civilian flights amount to 15,206. One C-17 IAF flight landed in Delhi last evening with 201 Indians on board, including Harjot Singh, who sustained bullet injuries in Kiev. Indian Air Force had earlier flown 10 sorties to bring back 2,056 passengers under Operation Ganga. Today, 2 special civilian flights are expected to operate from Suchawa, bringing in more than 400 Indians back home. Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke to Russian President Vladimir Putin on phone and discussed the evolving situation in Ukraine. Sources said President Putin briefed Prime Minister Modi on the status of negotiations between the Ukrainian and Russian teams. During the telephone conversation, which lasted for about 50 minutes, Mr. Modi urged President Putin to hold direct talks with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in addition to the ongoing negotiations between their teams. He appreciated the announcement of ceasefire and establishment of humanitarian corridors in parts of Ukraine, including Sumy. The Prime Minister stressed the importance of safe evacuation of Indian citizens from Sumy at the earliest. President Putin assured Mr. Modi of all possible cooperation in their safe evacuation.
Russia and Ukraine made some progress on opening up humanitarian corridors as they ended their third round of talks yesterday, after previous rounds brought no respite in the conflict. The latest round of negotiations between Moscow and Kyiv were held in the Belarusian city of Brest. A Ukrainian negotiator at the talk said some small progress had been made on agreeing on logistics for the evacuation of civilians, but no agreement was reached that significantly improves the broader situation. The two sides will continue talks on a ceasefire, said negotiator Mikhailo Podolyak. Russian negotiators said they did not have positive developments to report following the talks and warned not to expect the next round to bring a final result. The delegation head Vladimir Medinsky said the talks focused on opening humanitarian corridors had not met expectations. And now let's listen to our special program, Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव। Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a Nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
In today's episode, we remember freedom fighter Bishwanath Das, who was born on the 8th of March 1889. He gave up his law practice and joined the non-cooperation movement in response to the call of Mahatma Gandhi in 1921.
रक्षा लागि सदा प्रहरी हमें जाग्रत.
He was a member of the Legislative Council of Madras Province from 1921 to 1930, but gave up the membership in 1931 to join the Salt Satyagraha. He was instrumental in the creation of a separate state for the Odia-speaking people, becoming the Prime Minister of Odisha Province of British India during 1937 till 1939. He resigned from the Prime Ministership on 4th November 1939 at the bidding of Indian National Congress.
In Great Britain, it has been recognized in statutes. Parliament derives its power from the people of Britain, and Parliament was exercising the power of paramountcy. That being the position, I do not see any reason how the state rulers and their representatives could object to these expressions.
Vishwanath Das addressing Constituent Assembly on 18th December 1946.
There is no reason for anyone to think that India would think of any other sovereign state than a republic. And a republic does not mean wiping off the states. I think that's an apprehension that is unfounded.
After independence, Vishwanath got elected to Lok Sabha in 1950 and became the president of Uttar Pradesh Congress Committee. He was appointed as the governor of Uttar Pradesh in 1962 and later became chief minister of Odisha in 1971. The noble soul, who has left an indelible impression on a resurgent Odisha, died on the 2nd of June 1984. We salute the great Indian.
We also remember freedom fighter and the first Chief Minister of Punjab in independent India, Gopi Chand Bhargav, who was born on 8th March 1889. He was greatly influenced by the thoughts of Lala Lajpat Rai, Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya and Mahatma Gandhi.
A medical doctor by profession, Gopi Chand was born in Sirsa district of Haryana. Disturbed by the massacre at Jallianwala Bagh in 1919, he joined the freedom movement and came into politics. Thereafter, Gopi Chand participated in every movement launched by Gandhiji and served prison terms in 1921, 1923, 1930, 1940 and 1942. He held several positions in the Congress organization. In 1946, he was elected a member of the Punjab Legislative Assembly.
After India's independence, he accepted the post of the first Chief Minister of Punjab on the request of Sardar Patel. He was the Chief Minister of Punjab 3 times. He was also the first president of Gandhi Memorial Fund. Gopi Chand took many steps to carry forward the creative tendencies of Gandhiji. He died on 26 December 1966. AIR salutes the great nationalist.
We also remember martyr Basant Lal Rawal, who actively participated in the Quit India movement rallies in Ahmedabad in 1942. He was killed in police firing on the 9th of March 1943 while participating in a demonstration against the British rule. We salute the great son of the soil.
We also remember freedom fighter Wajud Ali, resident of Delhi, who participated in the First War of Indian Independence in 1857. He was caught by British troops on charge of killing Lieutenant Commander of Delhi and rebellion against the British rule. Wajud Ali was executed by hanging on 8th March 1858. We salute the great martyr.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
भारत के स्वतंत्रता संग्राम में अनगिनत स्वतंत्रता सेनानियों ने अपने प्राणों की आहुति दी। कुछ इतिहास में अमर हो गए और कई गुमनाम। आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव के अंतर्गत 75 कड़ियों की श्रृंखला में हम उन वीरांगनाओं की बात करेंगे जिनका योगदान कभी भुलाया नहीं जा सकता। प्रत्येक मंगलवार परिक्रमा में सुनिए अपराजिता, देश की वीरांगनाओं को आकाशवाणी का सादर नमन।
India at the 49th session of the United Nations Human Rights Council UNHRC has said that the recent developments in Afghanistan, particularly the human rights situation, continues to be a matter of concern. Indian Ambassador Indramani Pandey on Afghanistan at UNHRC has said that India shares concerns of the international community on issues related to providing immediate humanitarian assistance. He also said that India has already supplied 4,000 metric tons of wheat, 500,000 doses of Covaxin, 13 tons of essential life-saving medicines and winter clothing for the Afghan people. Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for today. Srinagar will have a partly cloudy sky becoming generally cloudy towards afternoon or evening or night. Temperature will hover between 6 and 12 degrees Celsius. Jammu will have a mainly clear sky. The minimum temperature was 12 degrees Celsius while the maximum will be around 22 degrees. Leh is likely to have a generally cloudy sky. The minimum and maximum temperatures will hover between -4 and 5 degrees Celsius. Gilgit will have a generally cloudy sky and the temperature will hover between 5 and 14 degrees. Muzaffarabad will have a partly cloudy sky becoming generally cloudy towards afternoon or evening or night. The minimum temperature was 7 degrees Celsius and the maximum around 18.
In the Women's Cricket World Cup, the sixth match of the tournament is underway between Australia and Pakistan at the Bay Oval in Mount Maunganui. Australia won the toss and opted to bowl first. Pakistan were 127 for 4 in 40 overs when reports last came in. Both the teams have already played one match each. While Australia defeated England by 12 runs in a high-scoring thriller on Saturday, 5th March, Pakistan faced a crushing 107-run defeat to India on 6th March. And now an overview of today's newspapers. The efforts to resolve the Russia-Ukraine conflict figure prominently on the front pages. Modi talks to Putin, Zelensky on evac, says Hindustan Times. Russia offers new safe corridors as battle still raging, reads a headline in the Asian Age. Modi raises the plight of Indian students with Zelensky, reports The Hindu. Regarding the exit polls for elections to 5 state assemblies, Financial Express says Yogi set to retain UP, Punjab may take AAP route. The Statesman reports encore for Yogi in UP, thumping win for AAP in Punjab, exit polls. Equity slipped to 7-month low as oil hits new high, reads a headline in the Economic Times. Times of India reports that oil is at a nearly 14-year high as the Sensex sheds nearly 1,500 points. And finally, Indian Express reports that 42-year-old auto driver K. Sharavanan has been sworn in as Mayor of Kumbakonam Corporation.
Before we end the bulletin, a reminder of today's question of the Amrit Mahotsav quiz. Name the first woman satyagrahi to court arrest in Nagpur and to get jailed twice for her involvement in protests against the British rule in 1923 and 1942. Also a famous poet, her poem immortalized Rani Lakshmibai. WhatsApp your response on 88265-46262 or through email on amritmahotsav@prasarbharati.gov.in. Celebrate 75 years of India's independence by participating in Amrit Mahotsav quiz with AIR News. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. President Ramnath Kovind to confer Nari Shapti Puraskar for the years 2020 and 2021 on International Women's Day today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to address seminar at Women Saints Camp at Dhordo in Kutch this evening. Prime Minister to address post-budget webinar on financing for growth and aspirational economy today. Polling for assembly elections in Uttar Pradesh concludes successfully. Exit polls predict BJP's return to power in the state. Repolling underway at 7 polling stations of 5 assembly constituencies in Manipur. India raises concerns at UN Security Council over humanitarian crisis in Ukraine. Demands safe and uninterrupted passage for all civilians. 2 special flights to bring back more than 400 Indians from Suchiawa today. And in Women's Cricket World Cup, match between Australia and Pakistan underway at Bay Oval in Mount Maunganui. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website newsonair.gov.in and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.